Password secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Just Our Take is our web show. Say hi. What's your number one program?
Back on track. Inflation under control. We can't be having $4 gasoline. We can't be having, groceries unaffordable. We got to get the economy working for all Montanans again.
UFC CEO Dana White, 45, soon to be 47, President-elect Donald Trump.
He did the Trump dance. He did the Trump dance.
Also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000 person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode number 111 of Just Our Take. I'm your host, John. This is my co-host, Dave. How you doing tonight, Dave?
Doing great. Good evening, John, and everyone else. Welcome to Just Our Take. This, as the title implies, it's our opinion. As we reflect on the news of the day and the events are going around the world, you may hear our point of view, and you may agree, you may disagree. If you disagree, that's okay. We don't mind. Throw your thoughts in the comments, and if you feel like we got it wrong, throw your thoughts in the comments and help educate us. John, what's going on in the world today, John?
Nothing. Just it's a boring day in our world again. Well, we are working on getting a new pope right now. I don't know if you saw that, but they got black smoke the first day. So,
shucks, that means
we're not burning oil.
Hey, did you know? So I love about Twitter X. You learn stuff. I don't know if this is true or not, but you might know if this is true. Did you know the founding fathers only paid the senators and representatives for per diem, a per diem amount when in session? Because the founding fathers knew if Congress were ever to be paid salaries, which they could vote to increase themselves, shocker, then Congress would no longer be of the people, but rather above the people. They wanted those in Congress to be subject to the same economic and financial conditions as the rest of the nation based on the laws they passed. Did you know that?
So they didn't want these people that were ruling over us, the oligarchy. They didn't want them being mega millionaires.
it's so strange. They wanted them to have to live by the same conditions that were from the laws that they passed, that they wanted them to live in the same experience the rest of us live.
They didn't want them stealing from us.
They didn't want them to steal from us, fly private planes, and yeah.
Listen, tonight is going to be an epic night. There's a lot of smaller stories, so we're going to do a couple of medium-sized stories, not the big bangers like we usually do. Although we do have breaking news that I want to go to right now. We alluded to it last week or Sunday on our show. We heard that James O'Keefe of the OMG Network was working on 2 really big stories, big enough that he said that he and his team were going into hiding. So I think we have one of those stories hit tonight. So let's get right to it.
Prince Andrew, he was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. He never saw it again. I was really pissed because he lied to me about Epstein. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed Andrew. And then I found out he was lying. I was so pissed. No, that he was f***ing underage girls. That's not cool.
The video and the audio on this is not the very best, so you've got to listen closely. We'll try to do some wrap-ups. Obviously, some of the things we're not going to repeat. However, here's
Read
James.
The closed caption too, by the way.
Yeah, if you can, depending on the option, the item that you're reading it on. If it's a little iPhone, good luck.
John Bryan has been a close confidant to the British royal family for a long time. He worked for Queen Elizabeth II, was, quote, best friends with Princess Diana, and had a long-term intimate relationship with the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson. According to Bryan, he practically raised Sarah Ferguson's children, the princesses Beatrice and Eugene. And Bryan said that he maintained a friendship with Ferguson's husband, the Duke of York, Prince Andrew.
Tell me like your story.
So my story, you want to know my story?
What?
Like I've been so famous at times when I was on the front page of every newspaper because I was working with the Queen of England.
Okay.
She's Queen Elizabeth. I was working with all the families, Princess Diana, my best friend. And I met the Duchess of York.
Okay.
That's Prince Andrew's wife. They were separated. And then Sarah and I sort of fell in love. And we lived together for like 7 years, 7 years, in my house in England. And I raised their 2 little children.
Wait, her
Beatrice and Eugenie. Those were my children. Those were my kids. I raised those kids. Day to day raised. I was father to those kids.
Prince Andrew's connection to Jeffrey Epstein emerged in 2010, when photos showed them walking together in New York's Central Park. Epstein had already been convicted in 2008 of procuring a 14-year-old girl for prostitution. In 2014, a woman named Virginia Giuffre alleged in a Florida court filing that Jeffrey Epstein paid her to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was 17, a minor. On April 25th, a few weeks ago, Giuffre died by, quote, suicide. Prince Andrew denied Giuffre's sex abuse allegations in a now infamous 2019 BBC interview.
She said she had sex with you 3 times, once on his private island in a group of 7 or 8 other girls.
No.
No to all of it.
All of it. Absolutely no to all of it.
The interview was a public relations disaster for the royal family and prompted the Queen to strip Prince Andrew of his royal duties. In the aftermath of that interview, the prince sought advice from a longtime royal family confidant, John Bryan.
Wait, so you were not friends with Prince Andrew?
Oh, very good. Oh, no, we were very civilized. We'd go have dinner at his house. We'd have dinner at my house to see his kids. So then we go on a holiday in the south of France. And I get a big property, like 10 acres, right near Central Bay, right? You know, nobody has 10 acres. I'm on the biggest property, beautiful house. I rented some price. Right? Because the paparazzi are everywhere. There's hundreds of paparazzi, not 10, not 20, hundreds. I know.
And this is already one of Prince Andrew.
Yes, Prince Andrew. Yeah, he's out for the. He's on the. He was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. He never saw it from here.
2 weeks after Prince Andrew's BBC interview, John Bryan was brought to the Royal Lodge, where Prince Andrew lives, to offer crisis management advice. According to The Telegraph, the meeting was conducted discreetly. At the royal residence, Bryan observed that Prince Andrew was visibly distressed and struggling to focus, reportedly unable to concentrate for more than 40 minutes at a time due to the strain he was under. As reported in the Daily Mail, John Bryan constructed a 5-page document emphasizing that Prince Andrew should publicly show empathy for Epstein's victims. Back in November 2022, Bryan publicly stated that he believed Prince Andrew was innocent of the claims made against him related to the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking scheme. Now, in our exclusive hidden camera undercover footage, John Bryan reveals for the first time that Prince Andrew did in fact have sex with underage girls.
Was he already involved with like
Other girls. I was so pissed about that. I was really pissed. I was really pissed because he lied to me about it.
lied about
Epstein. Yeah. No, I knew he saw him, but he lied to me that he was such a close friend. I was so. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed him, and then I found out he was lying. I was so pissed. No, that he was fucking underage girls.
Now, our newsroom has some concerns about where this investigation is headed and who may be implicated. But our only motivation in doing these stories is the public's right to know. And if this report and our subsequent reports shine a light into darkness and expose evil, then we are willing to take the risks. At the end of the day, child victims of Jeffrey Epstein need to be protected, and the people involved need to be held accountable by law enforcement immediately. Without accountability, our notion of freedom is just an illusion. We're going to be breaking our next stories exclusively at O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. You may see this Project Veritas sign behind me. Stay tuned for next week.
Interesting.
Wow.
That little Project Veritas was a hint back at the old days. But here's what we do know. We do know that some of what has been said by this guy was or has been verified. We do know that he worked with Prince Andrew. We do know that he worked in and around the palace. We do know that he was an advisor to the royals. I don't know about the whole, I lived with her for a while and we were in love and I raised those kids. I don't know about that. I don't have any independent way of verifying that. I think that that's a side note anyway. I don't think that's as important as the rest of it. I think the bigger news that's coming, David, is that they have more verifiable information about Prince Andrew.
Yeah. And which is why they're in hiding, because he has friends. Think about the company he keeps and think about all the rest of the people that may or may not be associated with the same activities. Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure.
Look what just happened to Virginia Giuffre. I mean, that's only a couple weeks ago.
It's tragic. It happens after you randomly are hit by a bus. They put you on medication, and the medication caused her to be severely depressed. And even though she said she wasn't, she did. Allegedly.
Yeah, I'm not buying that at all. But doggone it did it again. I hate when it does this. I really do. But it just told me that I've lost.
Keep me honest here. I thought Prince Andrew, I thought the Queen at one point said, "Hey, you got to go solve this thing with this girl. Your name is mud right now. You got to go solve this. When you solve this situation, because she signed an NDA and then she wanted out of the NDA because she wanted to expose Prince Andrew. If I have the same, it's Prince Andrew, right? She wanted to expose him, And then he said, hey, you signed an NDA saying you wouldn't talk about the stuff that we can't talk about, that there was nothing wrong with what happened. And then I think initially the judge was going to let her talk about it. And then of course that was it, got squashed, and it all went away. And then he got his title back, and the rest is history for him up until now. But if in fact he did, if he did participate in those horrendous crimes, then good, let his name get dragged in the mud.
Yeah. Well, I'm leaning towards he did do that. There's a lot of evidence that says that he did, and that's where I'm leaning. I do want to show you. There was a news out today that one of the other things, and I don't know if this is true, I can't verify it yet because it has not been published. However, there is speculation that one of the things that is going to be brought out by the O'Keefe Media Group, or OMG, is that the Epstein files have either been destroyed or they're being withheld intentionally.
I can understand them being withheld intentionally because of what do you call them? The Johns, who the buyers are.
Who the clients were. How about that?
The clients. Thank you. The clients. I can understand somebody wanted to hold tight to that because of who the clients were. Under the current administration, it's hard for me to imagine that those would be kept. Yeah.
The worst part is the allegation comes from Alex Jones, and he is saying that it's none other than Pam Bondi who's withholding the information.
Why?
That's a great question. I'm only passing on what he's saying. I don't know that I buy it, and here is her response to that allegation.
No,
I can't
the
hear her.
FBI. Yeah,
That wasn't her. That was a reporter saying there's news that came out yesterday that said that all of the Epstein files are missing, and now this is your response.
No, the FBI. Yeah, the FBI. They're reviewing. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn, and there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
There you go. Videos, lots of physical evidence. So she's got it. I mean, obviously she knows about it. She wouldn't say that so confidently if it weren't true. Sorry, I know I'm being very.
Well, we also have, I think it was Senator Comer, who came out and said that he, on day one, said you need to get into that FBI and you need to lock down those files before anybody has a chance to do anything to them. And they didn't do that. So that's one of the things that has me concerned. Did they get there in time to lock down those documents, the videos, and everything else? I don't know. Frustrating, that's for sure. Listen, we were told that there was a mountain load of files on her desk, and that they were going to go through them and release them. And what they released was stuff that had been released a long time ago. So I'm not real happy, obviously, as with a lot of the people, that are on the show, obviously, but a lot of the people around the country feel the same way. They're frustrated. Enough is enough. Let's get these people taken care of.
Yeah. Build your case and go. Got the videos, identify the people. Away you go. Let's go lock them up.
Yep.
30,000. We have 30,000 beds at Gitmo. I keep hearing about that. So come on, fill them up.
Well, 30,000 beds in Gitmo. And on top of that, what do we have? We have 300 more beds at Alcatraz. Alcatraz.
I think it's great. Reopen Alcatraz. We talked about that on Wednesday or on Sunday. So who goes to Alcatraz? Who goes to other federal prisons? Who goes to Gitmo?
Well, it's interesting because I have a few thoughts on that. I know that surprises you, but
shocking.
I know. Well, I kind of feel like it's just too interesting to just leave it alone. I think that something is going on there. I think that it only holds 300, and how much is it going to cost to fix that? I don't know. How much is it going to cost to get it ready to go again? I don't know. But you know me, I followed a lot of the Q posts, and there was a really interesting Q post out there. You don't know, Q is also known as the Intel boards. There was a lot of hints and drops and things out there that people are looking into, and a lot of them foretold the future is kind of a weird way to put it, but maybe opened up the plan. So look at this one. It says,
don't care about your sentence structure, just care to know how full Gitmo is gonna be. Okay, there you go. That's the question I'm asking.
That was a anon. That was somebody asking a question of Q.
Okay.
And Q's response was max capacity, one other prison being prepped.
Okay. There you go.
Coincidence? Maybe. I don't know.
Wait, I always, you know me, I'm very skeptical here, but okay. So the initial post, this was to February 11th, 2018, which I have no idea what that says. And then February 11th, 2018, another, I'm assuming that's the don't care about your sentence structure one.
Okay, so look at the timing. So the question came in from Anonymous at 1958.
Yep.
The response came in at 2001. So it's embedded, right?
Oh,
so
I see. Okay, gotcha. I'm with it now. Okay. All right. So a couple minutes later, he responds and says, max cap capacity, one other prison being prepped. Got it. Okay. And that was back in 2018. Wow.
Again, don't know, but who am I to say? Anyway, that's just a little bit of deliciousness that's going on. I think that maybe the judges, if nothing else, maybe it's a threat to the judges that you keep playing that kind of ball, we have a place just for you. I mean, I don't know how you call it. Did you hear? So sidetrack, and then we'll get into Summer of Love. There was a judge that came out, and I guess they came out. Maybe it was Supreme Court came out and said, for now, Trump can continue doing the deportations. Oh no, he can continue with the trans ban in the military. For now,
I did see that.
I'm sorry, you do not lie anywhere in the chain of command. You cannot hold him up. He doesn't have to listen to you on this.
Yeah. Right.
Judicial branch is not in the chain of command of the military, period. If they did that, if they overstepped that, then any military decision the commander in chief made could be overridden by a judge, especially one of these lower court judges. Cannot happen.
Yes. Okay. That's not what you wanted to talk about.
No, I just had that as a side note. I wanted. Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember what was happening back in a handful of years ago when we had all of that fun craziness going on, all of the riots all over, and not a single person was being held accountable for it? Do you remember all of that?
Do I remember it? I lived through it, by the way. It was my backyard for a little bit.
Oh, looks like you've got it queued up. Why don't you go ahead and play that one, Dave?
I do. I thought you might enjoy this.
I don't know. We could have the summer of love.
Summer loving had me a blast. Summer loving happened so fast. I met a girl crazy for me. Met a boy cute as can be. Summer days drift away. Tell me more, get very far. Tell me more, what does he have for? She got a friend.
I'll pause the rest of it because this part's not okay. But John, I lived through it, and the Chaz chop zone. By the way, no police were allowed, but we do have our own security here to make sure.
Yeah.
This was bad. This is a bad time for Seattle. Do I remember?
Well,
yes.
The bad part was that, you know, these thugs came in and they took over several city blocks, and the police weren't allowed in there. And by the way, this was in the middle of one of the police precincts, and they shut down that police precinct.
Right.
Are you kidding me? They fell completely into anarchy, and it didn't take them but days to do it.
No, they lost the police precinct. They set up their Capitol Hill autonomous zone. And I'm going to play a video in the background while we're talking. So you can see, just, you know, you can see it while we're talking. They set up the Capitol Hill autonomous zone, and they felt like, you know, we have this trading posts, and, you know, you can come get food and water. And of course, then they had demands of the city to bring in more food and water. No police allowed, no emergency services were allowed. And John, you would not believe the number of SAs, fires, thefts, and there were actually a couple of pew pew incidences that ended up with some unalived people. It was not a good. This was horrible. This was Seattle.
This was also the impetus to us starting a show too, by the way. All
true.
of these, both in Seattle and in Portland, and other places too. Someone's deciding to find out where. Oh, that was me. Huh, how funny. But I think that there were several incidents, like DC. Remember DC going off like that? That was crazy too.
DC, and you remember in Portland, it was like the entire summer they're burning, you know, the lasers and the fires and the, you know, cans of soup and frozen, you know, things of water. Antifa out there, you know, Antifa, their black face masks and umbrellas. And
so why are we taking this trip to the Wayback Machine? Here's why.
Why are we taking this trip?
We're taking this trip back to the Wayback Machine because guess what? What goes around comes around, and we're right back there where we started.
Young people are moving back.
So for those of you who are not as well versed in the tactics of Seattle police and or riot police in general, they use that chant "move back" as they move forward. The police do with their shields and their batons and everything. They move back, and they they move in and close down the area that they're trying to get control of. Well, here you have Antifa on the campus of the University of Washington telling the police to move back. This is a small group. There was a much larger group that came around. I'll play the rest of this video, but there was a much larger group that came around, more police, and the police retreated again.
People united.
Unbelievable, huh?
Yeah, I'll just let this one play while you. Yeah, so they're back, and this is now. They're back, and Antifa's back, and I guess this is a throwback video. I thought this was one, but they're basically at the University of Washington. There's all kinds of reasons, like depending on which group, it's either free Palestine or it's anti-Doge, but there's not like one big unity. There's not one thing unifying them. They're just out there to protest.
Anarchy.
Anarchy.
That is what is. So here is Antifa following and harassing an elderly lady after she left a Riley Gaines event at UW. So she was there to watch Riley Gaines, and you remember Riley Gaines was the swimmer.
Of course.
And she was forced to compete against Leah Thompson, a biological male competing in women's sports. And she said enough is enough, and she stood up, and now she's on the speaking tour and talking about, bringing back women's sports and what have you. Well, lady went to go watch her speak at the University of Washington, and this is what she got for her troubles.
Crash your car on the way home.
You really pig.
You disgusting transphobe.
Kill yourself. Kill yourself.
I'm just in this cousin right here. Have you thought about killing yourself? Have you thought about dying today? Have you thought about killing yourself today?
Yeah, but make the earth a better place. Go decompose. Actually produce something rather than just being scammed. Taking over resources.
Decomposing than breathing every transphobic breath that you breathe.
Yeah.
You're
the
also
earth would be so much better without you. You're such
Unreal.
a scam. You're such a...
Take your time. Don't rush on our behalf. Don't rush on our behalf.
Yeah.
Take your time. Transphobic Dan. Take your time. Take your time. Our elders.
Yeah. I don't know shit about that. You have
no idea about that. Our elders screwed us. Our elders don't give a shit about us, but she gives a shit about them.
Respect is to be earned.
Oh, you thought you two were safe?
This guy.
Are you okay?
Dropping dead? Do your grandchildren know you guys are transphobic pieces of shit? Do they know that you would sell them out if they transition?
Stop
killing yourself today. I hope you crash your car on the way home. You transphobic stain. I hope you drop dead behind the wheel. You.
You're so worthless. You produce nothing.
Oh, she's still going. Thanks.
Yeah.
Woo.
Steadily
I didn't think she'd make it this far. Oh.
All right, it's about all I can take of
All
that.
I can say is it's good that I'm not in these environments, because I would be the one in handcuffs. I just could not stand for that. I don't have the patience for that. Someone got in my face and made some of the nasty comments that they did. I don't know that I could just keep walking, John, to be perfectly frank. Like that's abuse. I feel threatened. I feel physically threatened, even though there's a police officer there. Those two need to have a different life experience.
Well, the good thing was it wasn't just one. It was only one police officer, but there was a couple of other guys. There was one very large gentleman. I don't know if you saw him there, but he was saying, "Hey, how about a little respect for your elders?" And kudos for him for jumping in there. But yeah, exactly. As the police are escorting him, they're doing that stuff. It's sad that that they need a police escort to their cars. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And by the way, there has to be a law. Peaceful protest is good. That wasn't peaceful.
That was not peaceful. That was antagonizing. That was threatening. You could sue civilly, but then that's a lot of work. But there should be a law against that. Somebody who is openly, visibly threatening you and harassing you. I don't know.
I know. By the way, it's really sad that you don't have any public safety. None.
No.
I mean,
no, if you disagree, and this goes back to the party of tolerance, the party of inclusivity has zero tolerance and violently will violently oppose you. It is unconscionable.
It is, and I saw some people that are going to the president and asking them, when are you going to classify Antifa as a domestic terrorist group? Because once you do that, all bets are off.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good call. They're showing up fully masked, right? Because they don't want to be identified. In some cases, they are physically laying hands on people. That is harassment and it's threatening. I think people do have a right to defend themselves and to create their own space. But they are a physical threat, and they should be considered domestic terrorists.
When we were watching the Portland riots, these people were taking fireworks, large scale fireworks, and launching them at the federal building, getting inside the federal building, hitting officers, and the officers could do nothing in return. They would launch some tear gas from time to time, but that didn't do anything. Yeah, and then the one time they launch a tear gas canister down the street, and it hits a guy in the eye, and it breaks his eye orbital bone. All hell breaks loose, and oh my God, it's police, police
Brutality.
overreach, police brutality, and these people. Are you kidding? You guys have been firing missiles at them for the last 30 days, and one of you finally gets hurt, and now you're crying? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're lucky that's the only thing that happened. I'm shocked at how restrained the police were at that time. They, it's years later. Today it's different. The police department in Seattle today will push back. Unlike 2020, they will push back. But will they? In that situation, those two people were clearly a threat. I don't know. I don't know what the legal recourse is, but I would like to have seen them physically removed from that space so that the woman and the other couple could move about their way without worrying about being accosted.
Yeah, there was another video that I had that was worse than that. There was about 40 to 50 Antifa, and they were all harassing a couple walking to their same thing, an elderly couple walking to their car. It's a dangerous thing because there are people that aren't going to take chances anymore. I'll just be that way. They're not going to take chances anymore, and they're going to take matters into their own hands, and that's when it's going to get really ugly.
Yeah, exactly. And they do these protests in places where they know that the people there are less likely to push back. John, you know this area pretty well. You go a little further north from the Seattle community and you start to get into some of the smaller communities where people have a different point of view, and you try some of this in that town, it's a completely different story.
Yep. Yeah, it is. And I even drive a few hours east.
Yeah, drive a few hours east. It is a completely different story. You will not get away with that nonsense.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that. I think we're going to keep a close eye on that. I think it's there's more stuff like that happening over in New York. Different group. It's Tren de Aragua. There was a Tren de Aragua group in Times Square, and a 12-year-old gang leader stabbed a police officer in Times Square.
Can you be a gang leader at 12?
Well, I was thinking the same
lead
thing.
yourself.
I know. I was thinking the same thing, but then I figured, well, he's probably got relatives that are way high up in the club, if you will, and by default, they're saying, "Listen, we're going to listen to Paco or whatever his name is, because his brother is the big leader, or Grand Poobah or something like that." I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
12 years old, you don't really have a lot of life experience to draw on to be a leader.
You don't, but you know what? He was leading a group that stabbed a cop. So there's that. Okay, I want to move on. Did you guys see that? It's kind of interesting. We've got COVID back in the news again.
What? No.
I know why.
No.
But Donald Trump signed an executive order stating that gain of function research is no longer legal, will no longer be tolerated, and certainly won't be funded anymore. There's a lot of things that are going to come out, and we may end up pushing this back to the following Wednesday. Going back to those Q boards, there may have been some interesting conversations around what was coming. There's a famous photo of Donald Trump on Cinco de Mayo sitting in front of a taco bowl, and people were looking in the background and going through things in the background. Lo and behold, in the dresser drawer that just happened to be open, the desk drawer that happened to be open behind him, were some of the things that are now known to be cures for COVID,
which are now legal, right? So they were made at the time. You lose your medical license in some states if you prescribe them. You couldn't legally prescribe some of those remedies. And if you remember why, it's because our vaccines were considered emergency use, and you can't have emergency use if there are other remedies. So all the other remedies became non-remedies, so you could authorize the emergency use for the the only thing that will ever cure it. But then now that whole thing is over, now all those other remedies are now legal again, and you can now get them. And
Yeah. Well, here is one of your favorites, Dave, talking about our wonderful, esteemed Fauci.
Yes, he is one of my
reversed. So it's a lot of what's been found is already there. But the thing that we are working with Jay Bhattacharya, the new NIH director, on with, as well as Secretary Kennedy, is looking at the gain of function research that, in the case of the Wuhan lab, as well as many of these other biolabs around the world, was actually U.S. funded and leads to this dangerous kind of research that, in many examples, has resulted in either a pandemic or some other major health crisis.
Well, let me ask you specifically.
Okay. Did you hear what she just said? Gain of function in these laboratories was funded by the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, they just admitted it. They've been talking about it for years. They just admitted it finally.
Yeah, exactly. Fauci was on. He was testifying before Congress, and he danced around that and said no. But literally, there's paperwork that shows that he signed the paperwork that funded the institute, that funded the group that performed the experiments at the Wuhan lab.
He came right out in front of Congress and said there is no gain of function being done by us, period.
By us, right? It's the Chinese that are doing it with the money we've given them to do it. And by the way, it was illegal then, and it's illegal now.
Yeah. Some of the interesting things that they found is that the actual receptors were from the original SARS-CoV, not CoV-2, not CoV-2, COVID. And they used some of the bindings from the original SARS to enhance the transmissibility of that disease.
Oh, we got to make sure that it's catchy.
Gain of function. Let's listen to a little bit more about what she has to say.
Because we already know that EcoHealth Alliance was partnering with this Wuhan lab to do gain of function research.
That's right.
We just have never been able to have somebody say, it was that exact experiment that led to this COVID bug. But have we gotten there? What's the new thing that you're digging in on?
We are working on that with Jay Bhattacharya, and look forward to being able to share that hopefully very soon.
Okay.
That specific
link,
correct, between the gain of function research and what we saw with COVID-19.
I mean, that would be extraordinary, because just so the audience knows, if that's true, if it was Peter Daszak's research with the Wuhan so-called bat lady that caused this pandemic, then we did fund it. Then Anthony Fauci helped fund the pandemic.
The thing that he denied over and over and over to Senator Rand Paul's questioning.
That's right. Under oath.
Under oath, exactly. So is it any wonder that he sought a preemptive pardon for anything during a certain period of time by President Biden before he left office?
And then strong-armed and smeared people like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, anybody who came out and said, I don't know if that's natural. This actually smacks of lab.
And the reason why this is so important is not just what happened in the past. It's because this gain of function research is happening in biolabs around the world. I got attacked, and I think you saw this. We've probably talked about it on your show before, when I warned against US-funded biolabs in Ukraine when the Russia-Ukraine war kicked off for this very reason. Who knows what kinds of pathogens are in these labs, and if released could create another COVID-like pandemic. And for that, I was called a Russian asset. You're, trumpeting Putin's talking points.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop again. It's funny because there's some people that are tuning out because, it's old news. It's old COVID news. This is really big news. And the reason that it's really big news is she just, verified that we have verified gain of function paid for by the United States. And then she just verified, and it was, again, it's like she does these little throwaways. She just verified that this was being done in the bioweapons labs in Ukraine, which was one of the reasons that Russia cited for going in and attacking Ukraine in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, just so casually. And by the way, and so it's one of those things where I think most people, I don't know, I shouldn't speak for most people, but I feel like many of us who are like, yeah, I believe that's true, feel like there's nothing we can do about it. And the mass majority of people are disinterested and we've moved on because what does it have to do with today? What it should have to do with today is there are people who were in power, may still be related to people that are still in power today, that made these decisions that go against, they're illegal, they go against our values, they're poisonous, they're poison to the world, and they're allowed to continue to walk free. They have to be punished. And she called out Fauci. He lied repeatedly. He's got to stand trial. He has to. I mean, otherwise there's no what's the word for it? There's no justice if he doesn't stand trial for those crimes.
Right. I have another little something to show you here, because it kind of ties into what we're talking about here. Why does it matter? Here's why it matters. You know, if we're going to say, and again, this is controversial, so I'm going to be very careful here. If we're going to say that the COVID-19 itself was a lot more mild than what it was made out to be, and that the treatment was actually what did more damage. They have come out today and said that putting people on the ventilators and the protocol that they used for the ventilators caused an awful lot of harm. They also, because they didn't know how to treat them.
Yeah.
And then also some of the original protocols that you might have used for a regular pneumonia or something like that was exactly the opposite of what you should have done. And again, we know that a lot of these people, when they made it to the hospital, they didn't come out of the hospital.
Right.
And again, I'm not putting blame on any of those folks at all, but what came next was courtesy of Pfizer, Merck, and others. And now the Florida Health Department confirms that Pfizer vaccine killed 470,000 Americans.
Wow. I'll have to dig into this, but May 4th, this is brand new. I'll have to dig into this. I'm really curious as to how they said that they have now made the link. I'm very curious.
Yeah. Well, I know that so part of that comes from the, what do they call them? VARS, vaccine.
Yeah. Registry. Yeah. So we'll have to dig in, but we do know that, you know, those remedies were prescribed. And by the way, I think it's still part of we should ask Mrs. John, but I believe they're still part of the protocol for infants today, right? So as you go through and you get all your different shots, I believe that the COVID vaccine is part of that protocol.
It is something that they will offer, but it's not a requirement.
Oh, not a requirement. Okay.
No. And in fact, in Montana, it's not legal to do that anymore.
Interesting.
So, I do want to share something with you though, because if you think about some of the other nefarious reasons why they did it in the first place, you know, there are some people that believe that population control was a big part of it. If you listen to any of the speeches by Bill Gates, you'd have to believe that that was what it was. If you remember the Georgia Guidestones, they wanted to bring down the world population of 500 million. We're currently at 8 billion right now. And then, you know, right as they were declaring COVID no longer a threat, the Georgia Guidestones blew up. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Anyway, what a coinky dink. Anyway, so part of it too was to lock down. The original plan, if you look at the documentation of the original plan, was they wanted to have us locked down for 10 years. They were going to try to keep us locked down for 10 years. So what could you do if everyone was locked down and created, you know, there's already people saying, oh, these guys are trying to create these 15-minute cities that don't let people travel outside of this one controlled area. Well, man, they proved that they can get a lot of that done through the COVID lockdowns. But here's where I'm going with this, David. I just heard a report that they have 4 confirmed measles outbreaks.
Wait, what?
4 confirmed measles cases in Los Angeles.
That's a pandemic. Go on. Measles.
And they're trying to push this measles bad on us. So I thought I would just show you measles then versus now. Do you remember the Brady Bunch?
God, a million years ago, yes.
Yeah, well, this is how the Brady Bunch portrayed the measles way back when.
What are you doing home from school? They sent me home. Measles.
It's either measles or a strange case of red freckles.
You have got a temperature. They told me 101.1. What's the record? Never mind.
Oh, are you sure it's the measles?
Well, he certainly got all the symptoms. A slight temperature, a lot of dots, and a great big smile.
A great big smile.
No school for a few days.
Say hello to my dotted son for me. Tell him I'll bring him some comic books and I'll see you later, dear.
Okay, honey, bye. Boy, this is the life, isn't it?
Yeah, if you have to get sick, sure can't beat the measles. That's right, no medicine.
Inside or out, like shots, I mean.
Don't even mention shots. Yuck!
Measles, measles, measles. Well, all the kids have now had the measles.
So have I.
Well, I had them years ago. Looks like the Bradys are finished with the measles.
Hold it. You're not through yet.
Alice, don't tell me you're coming down with the measles.
Oh, I hope so. I'd hate to think I was just learning how to blush at my age.
Dad says I should go to school.
7 students confirmed with measles, 4 others possible.
Wow, they had to have been vaccinated.
These moms never vaccinated their kids and lied about it. Vaccines are harmful.
You are endangering the health of every child in this city.
Liv, no, it's turning blue.
Call 911.
All new SVU.
I'm sorry.
Is that? Oh my God. Oh, this is the life. I got the measles. Are you sure that wasn't chicken pox?
No, it was measles. What are you talking about? Did you not just watch the show that the rest of us did?
I watched it. I've never seen that episode. But okay, there you go. Today it is the end of the world. If you get the measles, you got the measles. Oh,
it's right. That drama.
The drama. Yeah.
It's a SV Special Victims Unit.
We have to arrest the parents because they lied about the vaccine.
Meanwhile, we got the Brady Bunch with the little chalkboard out there. Everyone's got the measles. Yay!
It's a party. Woo!
Unbelievable. I just,
hey, under different administration, by the way, because the previous administration was like, World Health Organization, yes, please come in, and if there is the hint of some kind of a communicable disease, please take over, shut us down.
Yeah,
keep us in our houses.
I hate to say it. There's a lot of us now, and I say us in the general us, that will not trust another lockdown. I'm sorry. We just won't. And that's a shame because there could be something that happens that would require a lockdown. That said, we did talk about the rise of Sharia coming to the U.S. And that story's not going away. I know we hit it hard 2 episodes in a row. I'm only going to give you one video this time of it because the story's not going away. In fact, the stories are growing online. If you look at X, Truth, and it's starting to spread over into Facebook. Excuse me, but there are more and more. I know Facebook. There are more and more stories out there about the growing. I almost said a few different words there. Basically, the spread of the Muslim conquering and the Sharia law. Listen, Muslims can come here. They're welcome to, be here peacefully and integrate and assimilate. But when they come in and they want to do what they're saying that they're going to do, not okay. And let's go ahead and see what, again, just once more, hearing how their plans are to take over, not assimilate.
Establishes justice on the earth. And if we connect this with the ayah in Surah Hadith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that He sent the prophets. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ. That we've sent our prophets with, al-bayinat, which is the clear evidences. And we sent with them the book and the scale, لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ, so we can establish justice upon this earth.
I want to first bring to our attention that the worst form of oppression is what? Shirk, false worship.
The Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, if the Muslims have authority and they have the ability to remove oppression, they must remove the oppression. So we believe man-made law is oppression because they are implementing non-Islamic law.
There is no system in the world that is based on shirk. Fight them until there is no shirk. Allah Jalla wa Ala does not want to see shirk superior on any country, on any system.
And there you have it. The bottom line is they don't want to assimilate. And I'm not saying all of them, but there's enough of them. And if you look what happened in the UK and in Europe in general, yeah, it's not getting any better.
Yeah, I am sure that I'm sure we'll see more and more. It is starting to show up more. And I thought at first it's the algorithm. It said, hey, you clicked on a couple, so clearly you want to see more of this. But I'm just noticing that the stories are coming from different people from different parts of the world, and the message against those who are, I don't know. I got to put those people in a separate bucket. I know you and I have a slightly different take on this, but I believe the vast majority of people who are Muslim are peaceful neighbors, just like you and I. They just want to raise their family and go to do their work and live a good life. And then there is a small group of extremists, and they unfortunately have a different agenda. Well, that group is being spotted and outed and talked about with greater frequency now over the past few months than we've seen in a long time. So I do think we're going to see more and more of that, even over in Pakistan and India right now, which there's a lot going on over in that side of the world, which is a little scary, quite frankly. But even there, you're starting to see more and more of it.
The problem with that attitude is that's what got you Seattle. That's what got you Portland. That's what got you LA. And by the way, California, we just had these peaceful migrants coming in here, and they just wanted to be a part of the system. And so we let them be a part of the system. Now they're the majority of the system, and they no longer have America or California's best interest in mind. They have Mexico's best interest in mind, and they say it openly. So, I hate to say the old adage, give them an inch and they'll take a mile. That's what's happening. And so, if you don't lock it down tight, eventually you will be studying the Quran, whether you want to or not. Just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I'm not.
I hear you. That's why sometimes we're close. Sometimes we're a little further apart. On this one, we're a little further apart, and maybe I am being naive. I accept that.
Okay. So let's get back to Alcatraz for just a second. Stephen Miller, our favorite guest here on the show. Oh, okay. Yes. He's not a guest, but we can call him a guest because we love him.
Alcatraz was built at a time when this country was strong and it knew how to take care of villains and monsters. There are people in this country, as President Trump has said, who will do nothing with their lives but rape, maim, and murder. They cannot be rehabilitated. They cannot be saved. They cannot be coached in some better way of living. They are always going to hurt. They are always going to steal. They're always going to attack. And we need a place in this country where we can send people to visually demonstrate their total separation from society. The fact that they're not going to live among us and will never live among us.
There you go. He makes it pretty clear who he wants to see there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad he's got a little passion in his voice.
He always does. That's why I love him.
Yeah.
Okay,
no
so
Caroline Levitt clip.
No, but speaking of blue hair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's one of my favorite. That's purple, by the way.
My ask of you is, what is your plan with regard to FEMA? Are you planning to eliminate FEMA? Your testimony references that you want to, quote, eliminate dysfunction of the current agency. I'm unclear. I don't know if my colleagues are clear on what you mean by dysfunction. And I'm concerned that you're causing more dysfunction within the workforce that should be preparing itself for the pending hurricane season.
Well, thank you for your question and the discussion on this topic today. President Trump has been very clear since the beginning that he believes that FEMA and its response in many, many circumstances has failed the American people. and that FEMA as it exists today should be eliminated, and empowering states to respond to disasters with federal government
If you'll just,
support.
with all due respect, where is the evidence of the failure of FEMA? I don't know about everybody else on this. My state, Connecticut, was hit very, very hard with Superstorm Sandy. Every community in some way or another has been hit by that. And the FEMA on the ground, people come in, work with the families, deal with getting the funding out. Where is the evidence of the failure of FEMA?
Congresswoman, we still have claims open from Hurricane Katrina. We have fire claims that are still unpaid to people who said they were due them 7 to 8 to 10 years old. They have never been paid by FEMA.
Where's the evidence?
Where's the evidence? Well, okay, except for that evidence. Show me some other evidence. How about North Carolina? How about the fact that you, by the way, in your party, turned your back on those people and said, no, we don't have any money to support you. We sent it off to Western Europe or to Eastern Europe.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Yeah,
Pretty bad news. Well, that's a good way to put it. How about this one? We have I always love it when we get these fun clips. Here's a clip of a gentleman who just happened to hear an immigrant from Africa having an argument with Democratic protesters. This one's fun.
I live here legally. If America gets destroyed, I have a country to go. But what about you? Where are you going to go?
Unfortunately, nowhere, which is why okay.
What you're doing is just share with. It calls for your contribution, my contribution to make this country great. But if you want to destroy it, I'm not going to allow that because I have my kids there that came here.
How are they destroying it? How are they?
Okay, one, they don't understand that today being a Saturday, there are people working. They should go and work, contribute to the economy of this country to make sure that this country become better. Yeah. But they are here wasting time, bullshitting. They get everything for free, Medicaid, Medicare, EBT, and all that bullshit. Come to Africa. Cash and carry. If you don't have money, you're not going to eat. You understand? You guys are here and you are just making noise for no reason. I mean, well, what kind of people is this? And you think all people are stupid? It's not all of us who are stupid. I mean, America give people the opportunity to fool too much. The stupidity is too much.
He's more than welcome to talk. Okay. I just don't want to trigger the.
I get it. We'll come over here.
I don't want to trigger.
I don't want to. He's welcome to talk, but don't trigger these people. I'm sure you have met people that are have only been in our country for anywhere from a couple of years to 20 years, and I have to tell you, like, they're so grateful. The ones that I've met and worked with, just in general, yeah, so grateful. They're hardworking, grateful. They care. They're also not the ones out protesting and showing flags from their previous country and saying, I demand. But John, we're having our house repaired from a pretty massive storm last year. We're getting close to being done, and some of the final tradesmen are from other countries all over the world, by the way, not just Latin countries. These people, they're so good. They show up early, they work hard, they leave late, they clean up after themselves. The work is super good. They're passionate, they care. They're very polite. They're just some of the hardest working people. And they've emigrated to this country. They're excited to work. And I am sure, by the way, they're getting paid well based on some of the vehicles I've seen coming out of our driveway. But they can't, but like these people, they're so grateful.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
That's where I'd like to see some of these people on the street like that go to a third world country. Go volunteer for a week in a third world country and see how they've got it. And then question, do you really want to bring that here? Because that's what's happening.
Yeah.
That's what's happening, is because we're doing all of this. Again, I've got a video that we're going to show towards the end. And it's the homelessness in Los Angeles. I'm going to move on because we have another one here. People are frustrated that Kash Patel's not doing more. Part of the reason Kash Patel's not doing more is because he's getting drug into stupid congressional hearings like this one.
Agency. I was an impeachment manager for President Trump's second impeachment. It was a sad, solemn duty. And so I wanted to ask you about that. Mr. Patel, as you and the president continue to weaponize and investigate his perceived enemies, as you follow this blueprint, when can I, a former impeachment manager, expect the FBI at my door?
Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me. You want to know how and why?
Well,
you
may
want to know
need
what I'm doing
write
to
a book
fix it?
about that. Let me move on.
Well, you should read the
Change
book because there's no enemies
So-
list on that book.
So
There are
you-
people that violated their constitutional obligations and their duties to the American people,
That's good. You
and they
gave
were
them due
rightly
process.
called out.
I'm
And
changing
you should
topics.
give that book to every one of your constituents
I'm
so they can
changing
read
topics.
about it.
I won't be doing that.
That's their loss.
During your Senate confirmation hearings, you repeatedly denied having any involvement as a private citizen in the firing of FBI officials who engaged in the prosecution against January 6 insurrectionists, the violent rioters who beat and killed Capitol police officers, and whom you referred to as political prisoners. Since then, multiple whistleblowers have come forward, and we know that you likely committed perjury. At the same hearing, you claimed you were not familiar with Stu Peters, an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier, despite the fact that you appeared on Mr. Peters' podcast 8 separate times. 8 times. And you claimed not to recall. Mr. Patel, my second question is, should we worry more about your memory or your veracity?
We should worry more about your lack of candor. You're accusing me of committing perjury. Tell the American people how I broke the law and committed a felony. Have the audacity to actually put the facts
then
forward
the answer is
instead of
both.
lying for political banter so you can have a 20-second
answer
donation
is-
hit.
The answer is both. I believe that the
The
men and
answer is
women of the
you're
country
failing,
speak.
not
I will
me.
play my time.
Go ahead.
So first of all,
I
she flat
reclaim
out,
my time. I'm not busy. I'm not done lying yet. Give me. I need to know.
she flat out lied multiple occasions.
Flat out lied. It was horrible.
But the best news is, and this rarely ever happens, these people aren't used to it. He called her out. He flat out called your lack of candor, and then he came out and said, "You're a liar." Good for him. Thank you, Kash Patel. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of them getting away with all of the crap that they've been doing, and they do it with impunity.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, she just flat out lied, and that narrative, of course, it'll be on probably a CNN hit or something, and here we go again. They're Kash Patel still lying. Here's evidence. Let's listen to this woman. Sorry, let's listen to this person yap her jaws. Here's your evidence that he lied.
What do you mean, this person? She's a woman.
Whatever her name. What's her name?
Okay, speaking of liars, Katy Perry saw an elephant at the zoo, and now she thinks she's Steve Irwin.
Hey, John, I changed a bunch of lights in my house. I came down, found Mrs. David, and said, "I'm an electrician." If Katy Perry's an astronaut, I'm an electrician.
Katy Perry went to the circus. Now she thinks she's Siegfried and Roy. I got a couple more. You want to see them?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
That's funny.
Katy Perry went to a hockey match, and now she's Gretzky.
Yeah.
I have one more. Katy Perry flipped a burger. Now she's a McDonald's manager.
She looks good in that uniform.
Yeah.
That's not. There's nothing wrong with that job.
So Mrs. John actually sent me a video, and I hate to say it, I can't find it. Mrs. John, if you're watching, please send it to me again. Anyway, I have a video I want to show you that came out today. It came out a couple days ago, and this one is something I'm just going to let it play. How about that?
Let it play.
This is a promo for an upcoming Sean Ryan event or show. Pretty dasting. Here you go.
They taught you how to make bombs.
Absolutely.
What kind of
bombs? With TNT, C4, all kind of explosive. I can do pressure cooking things, all those, homemade stuff.
And so your training was building networks, surveillance, counter-surveillance, how to make deals, how to make bombs, weapons training, communications training. And how would you broach that? How would you start that conversation?
Brother, I was meeting our Mujahideen brothers over there. Alhamdulillah, you know, they're doing good. They're interested to recruit brothers, you know, so we can fight these infidels.
How many people did you recruit?
Well, I can easily say maybe 30, 40.
Blaram Skoro, Kosovan Albanian immigrant and former Yugoslav army soldier who deserted to escape ethnic persecution during the Kosovo War, turned to crime to save their family from genocide, smuggling drugs to fund their escape from Kosovo, only to face an 8-year prison sentence in 2000.
السلام عليكم. وعليكم السلام شيخ أسامة كيفك؟ اللهم انصرنا على أعدائنا. This is one of the trips me and Ali and Sheikh Osama to Beirut, Lebanon.
He was supporter of Bin Laden. I saw picture with him and Bin Laden after I went to Pakistan.
Osama أسامة الأروادي. أبو الحسن الأروادي. أبو حسن الأروادي.
I can tell you're very disappointed at how the agency treated you after that and abandoned you. How do you think you got compromised? I mean, I'll bet that's gone through your head day after day after day.
This is one of the worst mistakes in my life. I never forgive myself. He said, sir, you have two choices. Or you to take this blame, or us to take your daughter to shelter to somebody else. I had a secret number. If I'm in danger situation, I have to call that number at the CIA.
So the Russians were selling Al-Qaeda uranium.
Yes.
What year was this?
It was in 2009.
And you were involved in that?
I was 100% involved.
Wow.
How did you get connected to the Russians?
Through the fanatics.
Through the
They bring through from Germany to Italy, from Italy to Albania.
How easy is it to get uranium in Russia?
It's very hard.
Seems like it would have to be somebody inside the government.
Yes. And was
how much uranium?
They was saying it can easily kill 500,000.
How many bombs would this go in?
3 or 4.
And they would have Al-Qaeda smuggle it into the U.S.
Yeah.
Do you think that happened?
Terrorists need to get lucky one time.
Are they aware? Do you think that you're coming on this show?
I don't think so.
Are they
No,
aware?
maybe these 2-3 days they listen my conversation, but if they're gonna like it, I'm 100% they're gonna hate it.
And
I know
they do still have a contact there.
I don't contact them; they contact me.
When's the last time you had contact with them?
With U.S.
With the agency.
2022.
That's the last time.
3 years ago, January 2022, 6 or 7 January. 2 minutes.
Because I'll tell you what's going through my mind. What if they got in contact with you to tell me that in this show?
That's frightening, John. I'm going to have to watch the whole show. You realize it.
Yeah, I hope so. We're doing our best to help promote the Sean Ryan Show. Not that he needs it.
I was going to say, I don't think he needs it, but wow.
So there's a few things in there that, first of all, uranium from Russia to Al Qaeda. And if we go back a few years, we remember that Hillary Clinton and Obama helped broker a deal to sell Uranium One, a uranium mining company, and the assets to Russia.
Right.
It's funny because they keep calling Trump the Russian asset, but she's the one who sold uranium, the key component in making nuclear weapons. She's the one who sold that to the Russians.
Yeah. And for why? What was the reason? You can't sell it for enough money, and you know that if you're selling it to somebody who you think of as an enemy of your state, why would you do that? For any price. It doesn't matter what the price is.
We've talked about this a few times in the past, and one of the things about uranium is it does have an isotope fingerprint. In other words, they know exactly where it came from, and it's easy to trace. So if they find any traces of that uranium, they can trace it all the way back to where it came from and all the way back to its source, and then they can trace that back to who enabled that source to get into the hands of those people. Now, there could be people that are freaking out because the guy said that, it could have gotten in here. I will tell you, we have some of the most sophisticated, they call them sniffers, aircraft and ground-based units that can sense any movement of any radiological material, even down to a small source like that they would move for an X-ray machine. So they have the ability to trace and track that stuff, and it's constant. It's not like, they have to get lucky, and you can't hide it in a whole bunch of lead and disguise it that way. This is an area that I happen to know a little bit about, and I will tell you that they have the ability, if it does get in here, to track it down. And, we hope that the right people track it down. How about that?
Yeah. What does Monkey Works always say? He says, we got nuke sniffers over here. We got nuke sniffers over there. So they're up there. I mean, they're there. They're there on both coasts all the time.
So the hidden message in that one, that was kind of, again, the Uranium One thing was the first thing that came to mind when I heard that, because from Russia to Al Qaeda. And by the way, why would Russia send it to Al Qaeda? Except I keep talking about there's two factions. There's two factions in Russia. There's two factions in China. There's two factions in Iran. If the bad faction in Russia wanted to do harm to the U.S., they know Al Qaeda has been relentless about trying to do some major harm to the U.S. Seems kind of simple. So they could do that, sell it to Al Qaeda, and do the damage that they'd like to do to the U.S. And ultimately, their hands are clean.
It may be this. I mean, it's a morbid thought, even just to think about it. But if it was in the hands of Al Qaeda, I don't think they would. I think they would use it in the first place that they could get away with using it, where they feel like they did the most damage against the West. I don't know that they would try to go for the home run and try to get it all the way to the U.S. I think they'd try to hit a target that was much closer to home, something that was much more within reach.
More than likely, what they would do with it would be to attach it to some sort of a device that would spread it, rather than try to get an actual detonation. It is so difficult to get a detonation. It is very, very difficult to get a true detonation. Can't go into the details here, but sometimes when we're alone, I can tell you exactly, not exactly. I can tell you the theory behind what it takes to get that.
Whatever's no longer classified. I have no idea what it takes. All I know is in the movies they make it seem really easy.
Yeah, it's not. It's very, very, very difficult. Yeah. I can tell you that if you and I were playing with one right here, the size of a basketball, and we dropped it on the floor, there's nothing going to happen. We could hit it with a hammer. Yeah. It might do some damage to the shell, but you're not going to get a big one, a big kaboom.
Right. You need to actually.
There's a process. Anyway, so the last part about that really kind of had me going, what? Was when he said, do you think they know that you're talking to me?
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
think
He said,
they know
yeah.
you're talking to me?
First he said no. Then he said, well, actually, maybe they'll know in a couple of days.
Yeah, Roger, you're 100% right. A dirty bomb, not nuclear. That's right. 100%. Yeah. Okay. So then you see the wheels turning on Sean's face. He's like, when's the last time you talked to him? Because what goes through, yeah, but then I'm telling you, I'm watching the body language. That guy lied. He lied.
Yeah.
And then Sean Ryan says, because you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking they set you here to tell me this.
And why? What would be the benefit?
Okay, so think about this. Sean Ryan was CIA. He knows how they work. That's why his brain is going down that road. You've got the largest podcast out there.
Yeah.
And you want to get some information out there for whatever reason, whether it's true or not. Scare them or warn them. But his question is, why are you coming to me with this? I thought that was fascinating. It is a huge, a great way to end that segment too, by the way. We're definitely going to have to watch for it. You can guarantee that I will be watching for that one. And we'll probably bring some clips here to the show for it. So I'm going to do a couple things, David. I want to show just a little bit of that homeless video that I told you about. And then I've got a real fun story, unless you've got some things that you want to get queued up and ready for us. This one was a little heartbreaking.
Summer of Love, but we already went through that because it's going to be the Summer of Love again, and no place like Summer of Love than Seattle.
I really think so. I hate to say it, but I think so. Okay, so this was Benny Johnson takes a trip to Los Angeles.
Through downtown LA today, and what I saw shocked me to the core. LA is a sunken place. There were stray dogs everywhere roaming the streets. There was burned down, destroyed businesses on every corner. And there were city parks that were overtaken by homeless encampments. But what really shocked the soul was seeing the human suffering. People digging through garbage in the street, living in complete squalor. Third world, dehumanizing conditions you've never seen in America. Hey, but at least this guy's wearing a mask, right? Yeah. This is a video I took just driving down a random street in downtown LA. This is how people live in the City of Angels. This is the end result of policies that break people, dehumanize people, and destroy people. So, the question needs to be asked, who's to blame for all this? Who caused this? Well, Los Angeles has been a single-party run state for the last 70 years. Democrat policies that masquerade as human rights policies are actually cruel. They trod and destroy and erode the economic stability of a place and bring it to its natural conclusion, which is a third world style totalitarian Marxism where the average man or woman gets treated like garbage, gets treated worse than an animal, and the elite at the top in their mansions surrounding Los Angeles, inside of gated communities, guarded by men with guns, they don't ever get to see the real results of their policies. So that's why I filmed this video, so that everyone can see what's actually happening in Los Angeles, what the real world consequences and results are for horrendous, dehumanizing policies.
I don't know if it's just me that there's no sound at the moment.
It's just really low music. That's
So, John,
it's
I don't know,
heartbreaking.
I don't know when the last time you were there, but I go there occasionally. The last 2 times I was there, I happened to be in the downtown LA general area. And it is just like that. I know it feels surreal. It feels like it's alarmist and being dramatized and someone's like looking around for it. But that is what it looks like. And then even in the valley, we've got friends and family in the valley. It's not hard to find just whole sections like streets, a whole street, chain link fence, field behind you, lined with tents and campers, by the way, and shopping carts and everything else. And it is heartbreaking.
Those people not familiar with Los Angeles, that was walking distance from the place that the LA Lakers and the Los Angeles Kings play their professional sports, and these people with these 40, 50, $100 million contracts. That's the people that buy their season tickets for $100,000. That's walking distance from where these people are. And Maria, I almost agree with you on this. They didn't lose billions. I think they stole it.
Yeah.
I think that they stole that money. I think that, we talked about it last week. We said that in Los Angeles, they have, they spent more money than any other, in California, they spent more money on the homeless than any other state in the United States. And they have more homeless people in California than any other state in the United States. And that money that they're spending, definitely billions of dollars, is being stolen. They're not putting it towards the aid that it's meant to be. And I'm not sure that money is what needs to be thrown at this problem.
No, you will need money. You will need money, but what you need is a really, really good humanitarian based plan that really seeks to help people. Even the ones who can't necessarily speak for themselves that they need help. And they've spent $24 billion in the last 5 years, John. $24 billion. It's a lot of money that's gone into some pockets, but yeah.
Anyway, just had to show that to you because that's a side of the country that we don't see, and it's sad. We can't forget. And by the way, I think that the mental health issue is a bigger issue, and I think that the mental health and the drug issue go hand in hand in many cases.
Now, that's the darker side of humanity. I know you've got a brighter side of humanity story as well.
I do. I saw this one this morning, and I have to tell you, the moment I saw this one, I said, that's going to be the closer of episode 111. So everybody pull up your chair, call your friends, call your doctor, call your relative. I'm just kidding.
Call your doctor.
Check this one out. This one's, I just love this. So I'm just going to let it talk for itself.
Let it warm your heart.
When an elementary school student was bullied over the shirt he made for College Colors Day, people stepped up to show love in a huge way. When his teacher announced they're having a College Colors Day, he told her he really wanted to wear a University of Tennessee shirt, but didn't have one. So she told him he could wear an orange shirt to show his spirit. Every day leading up to it, he told her he had an orange shirt he was going to wear. When the day finally arrived, he was so excited to show her the shirt. He had taken it a step further and made his own University of Tennessee logo and pinned it on his shirt. After lunch, he went back to his desk, put his head down, and was crying. Some girls at the lunch table next to his were making fun of him for the logo he had created. His teacher posted this story to Facebook and said that she was going to get him a University of Tennessee shirt and wanted to see if anyone had connections to the university to make it a little more special for him. Then, the internet did what the internet does, and the post went viral among Tennessee fans. Letters and packages started pouring in from the University of Tennessee fans, and the university even sent a box of goodies. Then the university took it even a step further and turned his design into an official University of Tennessee shirt, with a portion of proceeds from every shirt sold being donated to an anti-bullying foundation. The demand for the shirt was so high that it crashed the website. Around 115,000 shirts were sold, and over $950,000 donated to stomp out bullying. When the young man who made the original shirt reaches college, He has a full ride scholarship waiting for him at the University of Tennessee.
How great is that?
It's awesome. And I think that's the beautiful part about a community, right? Now, this case here, it's a large online community around Tennessee, but or that has an affinity for Tennessee, right? Obviously, they're paying attention to it, but it just goes to show that when you appeal to the greater community, to people's their humanity, it's there. It does exist. It doesn't exist with all the other nonsense, but it does exist in its purest form. When people feel good about doing the right thing for the right reasons, it feels good. And you know what? And that kid made a difference. Probably had no idea that he would wake up that day and make that kind of a difference for so many people, but he did. Super cool.
I mean, nearly $1 million for anti-bullying programs. That's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. I love the fact that his hand-drawn artwork became the piece that they used to sell the t-shirts for anti-bullying. I love that. It just
so great.
Right. So it's a super cool story.
I bet those girls want to date him now. Ooh, you know who that is?
Oh, yeah.
That's little Tommy Johnson. Tommy Johnson is the one who created the logo for the University of Tennessee. I bet he could sing you Rocky Top if you wanted.
Oh boy. I'm sure he didn't do it for the money and fame, but it doesn't hurt. I'm sure his family, like getting a full ride to school, by the way. I don't know what it costs, to wherever he chooses to go to school. I have no idea what the ultimate cost is going to be, but it's no less than 60 grand, and it could be 260 grand. That means a lot. I mean, this kid knows I will have a chance to go to university one. That's cool. I love it.
I'm thinking you're closer to the 260.
Well, I'm just saying, you go to a state-run in-state school and you drive from home to school, you could get there for 60 grand. But
you could. Yeah. You could. Hey, we are not doing a show on Sunday, but we will have something in the can for you to watch if you so desire. To all the mothers out there, we appreciate you, and we hope that you're well celebrated on this Mother's Day. I know that you are going to be celebrating your wife as the mother of your children's. And I will be doing the same here. So to all of you mothers out there, happy Mother's Day to you early, and we will see you back here next Wednesday. Anything for the good of the order, Dave?
No, I just want to say have a safe weekend, have an enjoyable weekend, and we'll see you next week, Wednesday.
Thanks, everybody. Glad you were here.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again? The sweet emotion raining all over me.
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Making that new